This is the Off-Grid Knives Caiman, named after the crocodilian animal from, I think it's down in Brazil, the Pantanal in Brazil and some other areas in South America. They are smaller crocodiles, dangerous but smaller. And if you look at them, this really audacious Bowie blade kind of echoes their overall shape. They have a bit of a long, thin snout, like this swedge kind of. At least that was the first thing I thought of when I found out that this was called the Caiman. Of course, I love this knife because of that blade. That blade is just insane. I love clip point blades, and I do love clip point blades that are extreme or different or what have you, and this nails it, man. This nails it. Something you might notice about this blade is that it's a little shorter than the knives I tend to gravitate towards. At 1, 2, 3 1/4, it's a little bit small. It's in that I only have a few knives that I really love in that size category. You know, like the Yojimbo is one of them. A couple others, but this knife is a big little knife, if you will, or a little big knife, however you want to put it. And it's just oozing with character. And I gotta say, for a smallish knife, it's got a bit of menace to it. I mean, who doesn't think that clip point blade is a little bit nasty looking? I mean, you know. Let's be real, people. All right, so this knife, designed by Carrie over at Off-Grid Knives, made by Best Tech Knives, is a super, super sweet EDC. I mean, this is set up to be an EDC blade. I think EDC is in the name. I think it's the Caiman EDC. You've seen a lot of videos about it recently because it's a newish release, and I have really fallen for it. This is a knife that I'm not going to call it an everyday carry for me, but I do bring it around with me a lot. This will find itself on my dresser at night quite a bit. This is a great after work knife in terms of like the kind of loose shorts I wear or pajamas or whatever. This goes nicely in there. But also, it rides in my car a lot because it is just damn fun fidget factor. I've heard recently, you know, I used to think about fidget factor in knives, and then my testicles descended and I went through adolescence, and now I don't think about that anymore. And I think that's a funny kind of trope, but you know, we all do things subconsciously. Some people shake their knee up and down when they're sitting. Some people twirl their pencil or drum on the table or something. And then some of us play with knives when socially acceptable. And driving is definitely, well, I'm not going to recommend it. It's not exactly the safest thing in the world. But let's say it's stop signs, stop lights. You pull it out of the little console, you know, and start fidgeting with it. And you know what? You can say what you want, but some knives are just fun to play with. And this is one of those. But besides being fun to play with, it's a really excellent knife. It's got a nice thin blade stock, and it's saber ground. It comes to a nice geometry behind the edge. Here, I have a piece of paper here. I never do cutting tests, but it cuts really nicely. I've used it, well, that last one was operator error. I have used it quite a bit on cardboard. You can see this here. And it hasn't really messed with the stone wash at all, this sort of acid stone wash. And it just cuts really nicely. And not for nothing, that point is something else. That is a nice point there. And that swedge comes all the way up to the tip and really aids in penetration. So what do we have here? We have a D2 blade, clip point, very obviously, with really excellent jimping, a nice generous run of very good jimping, the kind that grips your thumb well but doesn't hurt and isn't going to shred up the fingerprints or anything. Just really good for grip, not just indexing, really good for grip. It's a flipper on bearings, and it was smooth when I got it, and then just through flipping it, it has gotten so smooth that I will frequently test to see if there's any blade play in there, because it feels almost like it's loose, but there's no detent lash, and there's no blade play or lock rock or anything. It's just that smooth. It's just so smooth. D10 blade steel. I know they cryogenically heat some of their D2 on the Off-Grid knives, but I think they usually say so on the blade, so I'm not sure if this is cryo treated, and frankly I couldn't tell the difference if it didn't say cryo treated. It's got the adjustment torques on the other side, so it's got a nice sort of blank show side here. This is G10, kind of like Tenacious G10, like on the Spyderco Tenacious, similar feel. You've got ambidextrous clip with the milled out pocket, which I love. It's not gonna, even if it loosens up, it's not gonna slide around on you because of that milled pocket. Jimping back here, which is nice. I wouldn't mind some jimping right here. That's kind of something I think a lot of knife makers do. They put the jimping here, and I get it because it fits, nestles in the palm and gives you some grip there, but just continuing that up here would be great just for the thumb. But you know, not everyone's as tactical as me, right? As I. And not as many people have as good grammar as I butcher that sentence. Okay, so you've got a G10 backspacer, steel liners that are nicely pocketed and milled. Look at that, I got my flashlight. Or a torch. What am I supposed to call this, people? A flashlight or a torch? You can see how they've milled out the holes. That's on the lock side, and then here on the show side, just giant pockets taken out, similar to the Enforcer XL. Very nice and stout liner lock with full engagement there. Nice deep carry pocket clip, and again, that pocket and the flathead screws make it virtually impactless on your pants pockets, you know, like some knives. Let me see here. Here's another off-grid where they didn't do that. They put the round screws, even though it's pocketed in, and that has more of an impact because those screws over time will wear on your pants. But this one, they did it just right. That's how deep it rides, so nothing shows except for the clip. I've mentioned how it cuts, I've mentioned how it punctures and how nicely it functions. Something that I noticed right away is just how good it feels in the hand. The ergonomics of this knife are perfect for me and my size hands. My hands are medium size, depends on the glove, but I'd say medium. I can squeeze them into a small glove every once in a while if they're giant gloves, I guess. But yeah, just right around medium-sized hands, this thing feels and fits so perfectly. And it's sort of wide through here, not too wide, but just wide enough that it's hand-filling, you know? It's still the average sort of half-inch thick knife, but this wideness here just really fills up the grip in a nice way. And I just love the way this thing feels in hand. And in reverse grip, it's outstanding. Haven't had to use it yet like this, but I've held it like this quite a bit and really like it. So this is sort of an EDC knife with the menace factor, and also, you know, it would be a good knife to use as a self-defense, last-ditch self-defense knife, you know, for a police officer or someone, because it's nice and light. I realize a police officer might just want something fixed, so he doesn't have to worry about, he or she doesn't have to worry about opening it and all that, but just maybe they could just fidget with it in the car as they cruise around. Flipper doesn't protrude too much. Yeah, just a great knife. I'm really happy and excited about this knife. Let me show it off with a couple of others for size comparison first. Here's the Ritter Hogue RSK Mark I. So that's kind of a stand-in for a griptilian, a small griptilian, even though the handle of this is ever so slightly longer. But it's also a knife, obviously, in its own right. So there it is with the Ritter Hogue RSK Mark I. And here it is with a paramilitary for comparison. Just about the same size blade, or a little bit longer actually. But look at how much longer the handle is. You know I have mixed feelings about the PM2. I'll never get rid of this one. It's a great work knife. I've worked in TV and film production for a long time. This is great. This has been great on that job. And fidgety, naturally. This is another fidgety one. 2 off-grid knives, or 3 actually. There it is with their prime line. What do they call it? Their elite line. This is the Scorpion. This is just an excellent knife too. This one's made by Knives, right? Yeah, So they do Best Tech, and then for their Elite series, and this is just a great knife. And I love the design, and without looking like it, it's evocative to me of the SOCOM Elite. Something about it. But just great action, great in hand. It's just so nice. And it's got carbon fiber, and you know I'm not crazy about carbon fiber, but I love it on this. Go figure. Here it is with the Black Stallion, also an off-grid knife. Also great, you know, everything about this knife is similar to this in its greatness. I will say that the jimping on this is a little more, is a little less grippy, a little more about indexing, but you don't really need it for indexing. You know, you've got, you know if this knife is right in your hand. You know, if it's like this, you're gonna know immediately. Even if it's in the dark, you're gonna know it's in the wrong way. But very good cutter, this knife, the Black Stallion. Nice sheep's foot blade there. And then the last off-grid folder that I have is the Enforcer XL. Just a brute with that beautiful bellied Wharncliffe blade. Also has excellent jimping. Oh man, this thing is cool. I just did a video of this recently, but I want to pause to appreciate it right here. Look at those raised diamond field of pyramids here that just really grip the hand. I still have yet to sand this area down. I'm going to sand this down because whenever I pull it in and out of my pocket, I lift up the clip because I just know it's not going to take long for this to shred the pocket. But awesome, amazing action. I mean, just ridiculously fall shutty, aided by that size and weight of that 4-inch blade. So there's my off-grid folder family. Now, a couple other knives I want to show it with that seemed pertinent when I pulled them out. Here it is with another Bowie. This is the Cold Steel Recon 1. I have the snaggletooth cog ring on the back. Obviously a bigger knife, but I just wanted to show it with another Bowie. And then here it is with the excellent Concept Street. What the hell is this? The Main Street. It says Little Main Street. This is the Main Street. It's a misprint, but really an excellent EDC blade, and made in the same part of the world, if you will. About the same size to, at least in terms of blade length. This is a Pinkerton design, I just love his work, Dirk Pinkerton. Yeah, I guess that's about. Oh wait, here's one more comparison. This is a knife on loan from that fellow there. You got to check him out on Instagram. He loaned me this. Is Emerson Sheepdog, very sharp Bowie flipper. This has zero blade play or anything. Super solid when it's open. It has a little bit of detent slop here. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to do a review of this knife, but there it is together. So I mean, you can see that the blade to handle ratio on this Caiman is really outstanding. So I highly recommend this knife. I can't remember what it goes for, but I know it's definitely worth that. So I hope you've enjoyed this, checking out the Caiman from Off-Grid Knives. You check one out for yourself. All right, thanks.